You didn't think I was dumb enough to do it again, did you? Hey, sorry I'm late, I was entrenched. Today we're talking about Bandito, the immersive experience from Spotify and 21 Pilots. You literally just listen to the song and it takes you through the world of Deema and you kind of tap around. The reason they kind of call it a game is that you're supposed to find 4 symbols. Is it 4? 5. You're supposed to find 5 symbols. I will tell you as I go through this where the symbols are. So spoiler alert, basically, if you haven't found them yet and you don't want anyone to tell you where they are, I guess don't watch this video. So here's the thing, if you haven't found all the symbols yet before you watch this, the game still ends the same. You still end up in the same place no matter how many symbols you find. So you're not really missing out if you didn't find all of them. The only thing you're missing is what they mean. And I'm going to tell you what they mean. We pan over Deema, and of course at the very beginning you see that it resembles the blurry face cover. We already knew that because we had the map of Deema on the Clancy website. So when you're going through Deema, it's showing you the portions of it that we saw in Nico and the Niners, and whenever you tap, it'll like flash red, and then you kind of see weird vague shapes of the bishops from that scene where they were like creating the neon and then like worshipping it. The second portion of Deema that we see is, I think, the same place that we see at the end of the Nico and the Niners video where we see 2 children and holding the jacket and whatever, but the only thing missing is the statue, so I guess it's not the same place. It's close enough. This is supposedly where the first symbol is, the jumpsuit symbol, or the jumpsuit medallion, I guess. I looked this up on Reddit. See, you guys accuse me of stealing stuff from Reddit. Well, I came up with all of this on my own. The only thing I took from Reddit is where to find the symbols, okay? Because I couldn't remember because my brain is trash. And it's on a wall, but apparently it changes. It'll be on a different wall, I assume, for different people. So I can't tell you which wall, but look on the walls. And then it cuts to flashes of staircases, all of them leading down. So you assume that this is, I could take the high road, but I know that I'm going low. So he's talking about going under the city. They're taking the staircases down. It cuts to the statue of the man and like neon lights, like neon above him, neon below him. It'll start to glow red, which again is like a tie into the blurry face era. The only time we hear of the color red within the Trench album is in the song Chlorine, when he's talking about, you know, the red carnation, but it's referred to as a rebel color. In Nico and the Niners, the video, Tyler has his red beanie and he's packing it into his bag to take along with him. So when you see the statue, there's neon above it and neon below it. And I don't know if maybe this is a reference also to Chlorine. Above is blind belief, under is sword to sleeve, and around is scientific miracle. Let's pick above and see. There's something there. I haven't fully fleshed that out yet. I'm not 100% on anything, so why am I making this video? I went back and played it a second time, and I didn't screen record when I did this. Whenever you tap the statue, the red goes away. So as long as you keep tapping it, it stays white, but if you leave it alone, it'll slowly burn red. Red symbolizes the blurry face era, also a rebel sort of narrative in the Trench era, and we only see red while we're in Deema. The only time we kind of see red again is later in the camouflage. There's like little flowers that are red. That might be a tie into, you know, rebel red carnation, so the red is part of the camouflage. But as far as like what I think it means here in this context, the more you interact with this statue, this sort of fake idol that the bishops have kind of created to worship, and the neon that they've created, as long as you continue to interact with it, it won't seem out of the ordinary to you. It'll just continue to glow that kind of boring like white color. The fact that it starts to glow red would indicate something's wrong. Whether the color red is bad to indicate that's blurry face, or whether it's a reminder of the rebellion, either way, you shouldn't see the color red. As long as you are continuing to interact with this thing, you're not going to see a problem with it. But once you take a step back and you just sort of watch it, you start to see the color red and something's wrong. Next, flashes and you're in the tunnels. More flashes of red with the bishops worshipping if you tap whenever you're in the tunnels. By this point, we have found the jumpsuit medallion, but it is a map of Trench, so to speak. This is way more important than I first realized, and I don't know if this has been around and I just haven't known about it until now, and I think honestly it's a big part of understanding this story. We're going into the mouth of Trench, so we start to see like mirrors almost pop up. I'll have a side-by-side comparison. If you don't go through the mirrors, everything stays kind of gray, and it's just like one big kind of mountain looking thing in the distance. But if you go through a mirror, then it changes to what we saw in the jumpsuit music video, you know, the greenery, and then the mountains change too. They're bigger. This is where the second symbol is. Apparently it's on the right of your screen. Keep kind of tilting to the right and you'll see it. I don't know if this symbol pops up in the mirror and outside of the mirror or just outside of the mirror. I think I found it outside of the mirror, but it could be in there. So I don't know how the mirrors play a role in it, but I'm assuming you would find the symbol. And this is the east is up symbol. You have to stay to the right of your screen to see it. That's east, according to what we would know as east. Then you start to see shadows form, like two shadows come up behind you. Judging by the shape, they almost look like bishops sneaking up to come snatch you. But they could also be the first appearance of the Bandidos, because the next cut is to the Bandidos camp. While you're in the Bandito camp, this is where you'll find the third symbol. It's on the chest of one of the Bandidos. It's the 21 Pilots logo with the double bars. So what's odd about this base camp, from what I can tell, is it's off to the right side of the medallion. So we're not just making a beeline straight for east, but we are, but we're not. That's east in like a normal context. However, east is up in this scenario, and the east logo is at the top where north would normally be. So it almost looks like we take a detour and we go to the right, and it does say in the jumpsuit medallion is that it's a world that they get lost in. Supposedly either the Bandidos are lost, they went what is defined as east and have kind of camped out there, but they've not gone true east. Either that or they did that on purpose. Another theory is that the Bandidos are too scared to keep going. Just like I talked about Leave the City in my last video about 21 Pilots, where you're afraid to leave everything you've ever known. So maybe the Bandidos, they got out of Deema, which is better than nothing, but it's like, yikes, do we keep going? Because, like, I don't know what's out there, man, do you? Jump cut, we're in like a weird desert, lumpy, and like when you tap them, they grow. So like I was screwing around in my screen recording, I'm sorry. So I did two screen recordings, one where I went through one of the mirrors because mirrors pop up here again, and then another one where I didn't, and you can see a side-by-side comparison. I don't know what this means. Without going through a mirror, it just looks kind of like a desert, and there's mountains in the distance. When you go through a mirror, it almost looks like an ocean. It gets more choppy, and there's the tiniest of hints of like blue. It's still more of a gray, but it's almost enough to make it look like water. I'm not sure if this is what the jumpsuit medallion refers to as the stream, but that stops before the Bandito presence camp. Maybe I should have thought this through before I made this video. Heck. And while you're in wherever the heck this is where you'll find the Vulture. Yeah, I don't know. It's just somewhere on the left. Just look for it. I don't know. We had to go right to find east. Now we've had to go left to find the Vulture logo. The Vulture logo talks about seeing both sides, seeing both worlds. So I think this is where the mirrors start to make a little bit of sense. So we're in one world and the mirror lets us go into another. So the east logo is the flipped E as an insignia of truth being revealed. So this is kind of symbolism of that. We kind of get thrown upside down. Poof, we're in trench. We're going through it and we see the Banditos. So this, I think, is the middle. We're going down the center of the medallion now. We see another Bandito like base camp on the right. So this made me wonder, are we even going the right way? Like, what if we're actually going east as we know it, not as the Deema story has led us to believe of east being north? Maybe this is like torches where that's labeled, but I'm not 100% sure what these Banditos are doing here when that's not labeled on the map, unless we can just see them from over here while we're going down the center. As we leave, we just see kind of wide open land. There's an obvious path to follow, which indicates that we're not the first ones to make this journey. This journey has been made before. The Banditos seem to be staying behind us, so this indicates this is a journey we have to make alone. So of course, in Trench, I'm not alone. In this in-between place, we're not alone. We still have to figure out a lot of stuff by ourselves. You know, we're not alone in our struggle. A lot of people want to get to where we're going, wherever this is, but ultimately it's all something we have to do up here, and no one can go into our brains with us. You know, it's something we have to fight out in our brains. One more thing I want to point out is the reason I realized that we're probably not going the wrong way is because there's like northern lights, kind of aurora borealis, is that how you say it? That's like north, so I'm assuming we're going the right way up, I guess. I don't freaking Tyler Joseph. So the medallion looks like a blurry face circle, but it doesn't resemble any of the ones that we see on the Blurry Face album. What it does resemble, however, is a brain. Here's an image of a brain. What does that look a lot like? Looks a lot like the jumpsuit medallion, because I wondered why it looked like it was mirroring itself. We have our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere, like one brain, but they kind of are like, they look alike, like same but different, you know. This is also where the vulture kind of comes into play, because the vulture sees both sides. So the vulture is us. We are like the vulture. We see both sides. We see our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere. So I think that's what the mirrors are. Before we go through the mirrors, we're kind of maybe in the left hemisphere because there's like no color, it's kind of just gray. And we go through the mirror, we see the right hemisphere, that's where the colors come in. So that's why I think the Bandidos are kind of camped out in the right side, because Tyler places a lot of emphasis on creativity, as well as Josh. One thing I will point out, because you guys also fussed at me about not including Josh in my last video, so here's my inclusion of Josh. In the descriptions of what the logos mean, that looks like Josh's handwriting. So Josh is the one that wrote this out, and Josh is considered to be the, like, leader of the Bandidos, I guess, in this world. Josh is camped out in the Bandito camp, and that's why his map kind of only shows the right side, because that's the only place he kind of is. He's in the right brain, he's in the creative side. Your right brain is responsible for shapes, sizes, contours, the space around you, faces, sounds, melodies, and tones, emotions. Your left brain is more verbal processing, language, analysis, you know, attention to detail. So the left brain, important, but like, we're focusing on the right brain because obviously 21 Pilots places a lot of emphasis on the creative. Towards the end, we're going through what I think is the center, because we need both sides, mayhaps? I don't know. I also have this like written out thing of like a map of a brain. The back of your brain, occipital,
occipital.
Your occipital lobe is back here, and basically what this does is your eyeballs send information all the way back here. All the information we take in, it's got to go back here first, and then it works its way forward, are you seeing where I'm going with this? To where we interpret it, and then how we judge what we're going to do, how our personality reacts to it, problem solving, expressive language, all of that is up here, but information's got to go from back here up here before we fully understand it. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? It's beyond our brains, wherever, you know, the end is. Fully understanding what's going on is beyond our brains. Oh, I forgot to mention the last symbol is at the end of the game, it's on a flag. Yeah, that's where the final one is if you're looking for it. It's whenever you're going through the trench and there's the Bandidos in front of you, look up to your right and it'll be on a flag up there somewhere. Why did I bring up that last part about what you see and then interpreting it to the front? I got this tweet from TOP21 Updates. Apparently this originated on Instagram. I never found its original source, but I'm telling you what source I got from Twitter, okay? Go look for the original and then come yell at me in the comments. But for now, we're using Twitter. It shows the statue that we see in the Bandito game. Obviously, this is also in Nico and the Niners. And then it's a comparison to how fans look when they're holding their phones up over their heads while Tyler's on the bridge above them. So, what does this mean? I'm glad you asked. So, should I break out my whiteboard? Why would they do this? Are they calling us out for using our phones during a concert? No. Here's the dealio. Tyler talks about not idolizing celebrities. Because, yes, he does talk about suicide and not glorifying suicide, specifically celebrity suicide. He says, promise me this, if I lose to myself, you won't mourn a day and move on to someone else. I don't think he's saying don't even mourn a day, but move on to someone else. He's saying people will mourn for a day about a celebrity and then just move on to someone else. And then they will just then place all of their attention and praise onto another celebrity, expecting them to be their idol. That celebrity also then lets them down in some way. You mourn for a day and then move on to someone else. That's what Tyler's saying. Don't have idols. So here's the thing. Why did the bishops, they created this heatless fire, this flashy thing that means nothing. There's no heat to it. It won't do anything for you. It's just something flashy. Like, I don't know, Hollywood, or just the celebrity culture that we generate, or even political culture around us. Culture. And then there's the statue of the man holding up. So it's like fans, yes, holding our phones up. They're not scolding fans for recording part of a concert. They're kind of pointing out that we idolize people that we shouldn't. Holding our phones up, this is like a symbol of us sort of worshiping Tyler as he walks across the bridge, or Josh, whoever's walking across the bridge. I was gonna make a whole video about this part alone, but I guess it's gonna make it into this video. So if you just want to know about the Bandito game, the whole point I was making about that is that Deema, Trench, all that is our brain, and we're making it from the back where we first receive information that we're given, you know, by like the bishops or whatever, going through Trench to make it to the front. Everything else is beyond our brains. Everything else that we're trying to understand is kind of beyond us, and we will only understand it sort of outside. Basically his faith, okay? Outside of your brain is your faith. I was gonna tiptoe around it, but you know what? It's my channel, I'll say what I want. We get through our brains, we gotta get through all of this mess, and then we find faith, which is outside of our brains. It's our soul. It is something that exists beyond humanity, beyond the physical, what we can see, and it's spiritual, okay? It's beyond the physical world. It's beyond this. The point I was trying to make here isn't super clear because my brain was totally fried, but what I meant was the information that we're given by the bishops is like the information that we're given by culture or society or whatever you want to call it. I don't freaking know, but basically that's the information that gets taken in by our eyes, sent to the back of the brain, and then we have to bring it forward to the brain to understand it, and then bring it outside of the brain to understand how it fits into our faith. Thank you for listening to this unnecessary voiceover. Have a nice day. Back to this point. This video is everywhere. Don't idolize the boys, okay? They don't want that. They can be helpful. The boys have helped you in some way, I'm sure. They've helped me. Did they save our lives? No. You saved your own life. You used their music and something they said in an interview, something about them as a tool. But ultimately, did they physically come into your room and smack something out of your hand or pull you from a bridge? No. You chose to keep yourself alive because of them. We are not to idolize them and place them like gods. I see some of you calling them gods. I see you calling them idols. Stop doing that. Not because I say so, but because that's literally like the point of this message. Like, I can't see any other interpretation of this. Don't idolize people. Anyone, including Tyler and Josh. They're great guys. I love them dearly. Like, Tyler says I can't love him if I've never met him. You said love is putting others' needs before your own. I would put your needs before mine. Go ahead and call me up. I'll fly to Ohio to get you a pizza, alright? I'll put my needs in the back seat to take care of you because I love you. And the same goes for Josh. Josh, you need anything? My son, you hit me up. I'll be there. You're in Australia right now as I film this, but when you're back home in LA, I'll take care of anything you need. Need a ride to the gym? I don't know why you would, you're rich as heck, but I will fly from Georgia to LA to give you a ride, okay? What I'm saying is, I love them, but they are not my idols. They are not my gods. I do not worship them, and you shouldn't either. They shouldn't be your number one priority, the only thing you ever think about. They are fallible people who will eventually let you down in some way. They will do something to disappoint you. They will do something that's maybe you don't agree with. And they should be allowed to do that because they're human beings. And they're boys. Boys are dumb, but so are girls. So what you take away from this video is the Bandito world is our brain and everyone's dumb. For any of you wondering, yes, my neck still hurts from my video last week. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, hit subscribe and you become a brat, but it's a good thing, so please don't get mad about it. I want you to take the like button. I want you to hold it right here in the palm of your hand. I want you to just clamp down on it and slowly squeeze all the juice out of it. Make a little like juice, sip on it, and then tell me how it tastes in the comments. And if a single one of you makes a chlorine joke, I'm blocking you. Oh, I have to end this video. For the love of God, this is the longest outro ever. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.